motoring sailing club relies on its own members to provide safety cover for all races throughout the season. Most members want to sail as much as possible, so often may only do 1 or 2 duties a year. This DVD is designed as a quick refresher on your role and aims to update members on any changes in equipment and procedures specific to our club. Experience of handling a rib, rescuing people and boats, use of the radio and first aid skills will vary from member to member. We don't expect you to be the RNLI, and we are not offering a comprehensive rescue service. However, we do expect you to operate the boat safely, know how to use the radios, carry the right equipment with you. You also need to monitor the whereabouts of the club boats and be alert, so that you are able to spot situations when crews are in difficulty and might need help. When problems arise, your role is to assess the situation and offer assistance within the range of your competence. In serious situations, your role may be to summon professional help. We've divided the DVD into 3 main sections. Before the race, preparation on dry land and on water. During the race, monitoring and responding to incidents. And after the race, accounting for boats, reporting incidents and leaving everything ready for the next race day. Read the written instructions for safety officer and coxswain before the race day, so you'll know in advance how to gain access to the club hut, the key locker and the fuel bunker. Arrive in good time and be prepared for the weather conditions. You'll be on the water for some time and can get very hot, sunburnt and thirsty, or very cold, wet and hungry. Don't forget your buoyancy aid, and safety officers, remember you must be prepared to go into the water if necessary. In your pre-race briefing with a race officer, consider the weather conditions, forecast, and any specific safety considerations arising from the proposed course. Satisfy yourself that racing is safe, taking into account your competency and that of crews taking part. If 2 safety boats are rostered, decide how you can best work together to make sure that the whole fleet is covered. Work out where you will be most likely to be needed, bearing in mind the course, wind and competitors' experience. Check you have the equipment you need, fuel from the bunker, and kill cords and keys for whichever boats you are using. Check each boat has a radio and familiarise yourself with their operation. Check they're working properly either outside the club hut or on the hard, and don't wait until you're on the water. Pick up the sign-on sheets from the hard and deliver a copy to the race officer and keep one yourself. Make sure you've made a note of the course too. The layout of each safety boat is slightly different. Check the equipment on the boat straight away. Make sure the first aid kit contains a water bottle. You should have at least 1 anchor, preferably 2 paddles, a toolkit with a knife and at least 1 towing warp. If something is missing, try to get a replacement before the race starts. And before the race starts, double check that you have a list of competitors and you know the course. When you lower the engine on the safety boat using the rocker switch on the side of the gear shift, you may have to release the support bracket on the engine leg. Check there is no debris in the water and the area around the engine is clear and the water is deep enough. Open the petrol cap a couple of turns and squeeze the fuel bulb until firm. Insert the ignition key and attach the kill cord clip. The lanyard of the kill cord must be attached to the coxswain. You can loop it round your leg using the metal clip. The control lever must be in neutral. Move it up and down until it locks in the middle position. Lift the throttle lever to provide a little throttle for starting. Turn the ignition key clockwise until the engine fires, then release. Return the throttle lever to bed once the engine is running steadily. Check that coolant water is flowing from the lower rear of the engine block. If not, shut down and remove the ignition key, then check for a blockage around the propeller area. Once the engine is running smoothly, lift the button under the control lever both forward and back to check you have gear engagement before casting off. Check you can hear the radio over the noise of the engine. If you can't, increase the volume. Keep in touch with your race officer. Do let the race officer know where you are and where the first and last boats are. But unless it is an emergency, don't radio when they are starting the race or timing boats as they finish. Position yourself sensibly in the water at the most likely trouble spots. Don't simply follow the last boats. And make sure you don't get in the way. Your wake in a very light wind can stop a topper in its tracks. Assess the situation carefully before getting involved. Clarify the sailor's needs and your intentions. Your assistance will automatically disqualify them from the race. Just knowing you are nearby may be enough to instill confidence. When working with people in the water, approach carefully and cut the engine as soon as possible to minimize any risk that they could come in contact with the propeller. Your priority is people. They are irreplaceable. Boats are not. Crews quickly become exhausted trying to right an upturned dinghy. Early in the season there is also a risk of hypothermia. Be prepared to call for extra help if necessary. Your practice on dry land earlier may save valuable time now. The RYA produces an excellent safety boat handbook and DVD with recommended techniques for righting all manner of dinghies and rescuing craft from lee shores. A reference copy is kept in the club hut, so we won't repeat that information here. However, there is a recovery technique for sailors specific to our safety boat because we have an anti-cavitation plate on the engine. The coxswain must double check that the engine has been switched off. Then even the heaviest sailor should be able to climb up onto the anti-cavitation plate and simply step into the rescue boat. This technique is particularly useful if the safety officer has to go in the water and the cox is alone in the boat. Otherwise, the more standard method of rescue is to help the sailor slide along the side of the safety boat so that his buoyancy aid will not catch on the grab handles as he is hoisted in. It is important that neither the safety boat crew nor the rescued sailor sustain back or joint injuries from the rescue process. The other safety boat has a drop-down bow, operated by unclipping at each side and turning the handle to lower the platform. When all boats are accounted for, you can return to your mooring and replace all equipment where you found it. Any significant incident should be entered into the safety log in the clubhouse. There may be lessons to learn. Report any defects or missing equipment on the whiteboard. And don't go home with the keys in your pocket. The club arranges local rib training every year. Contact the Rear Commodore Sailing for dates and information. A first aid course is also run in the village for members. If you need to update your skills, please take part. If the dates aren't convenient, it may be possible to reschedule or for you to join in another course taking place in the harbour. Before we sign off, we'd like to leave you with a message from Nigel Roper, the RNLI Lifeboat Operations Manager at Hayling Island, who reminds us of the 3 key points for safety boat crews to remember.
Your role as a patrol boat helmsman is primarily one of support. In any fleet, you will have those that are perhaps more competent than others, and some, of course, that are less competent than others. Your role is to keep a watching brief over the whole fleet. Your role is one of support. Now, if you find you get a situation where there is perhaps a capsize, you will need to go towards the craft, ensure that they realise that you are there for them, but stay off 50, 60 metres perhaps, just so that you are available should you be needed. If you intervene, they are automatically disqualified. If you see that perhaps they are getting cold, tired, you do need to take command. Has the time arrived where you actually need to interfere? For instance, particularly in cases like hypothermia, if they get really cold, they have an inability to make decisions, and it is really important as the patrol boat helmsman that you do take command and take control of the situation. Get any cold individuals on board, wrap them up as best you can, get the bow of the boat into the wind so that you can help the helmsman perhaps, or a crew member, get the sails down so that you can return them to the beach safely. Now if it goes perhaps further wrong and you are now missing somebody, or you get on scene and you find that somebody is in fact not there, perhaps they're actually under the hull, then please understand that you have to make a judgment call. Don't ever be frightened to ask for help. We would much prefer to come to you to render assistance than to arrive too late. It is the classic. You mustn't leave it too long. So please ask for help, and by going through the Coast Guard, you will get the best possible resource tasked to your incident that is available. It might be a lifeboat, it might be a helicopter, who knows? But I suspect in your instance it'll probably be a lifeboat, and that's fine. Myself as the Hailing Lifeboat Operations Manager will get paged, and I will make a decision as to which boat is most appropriate. It might be the smaller D class, it might be this larger Atlantic 85. But whichever is more suitable will be tasked to your incident. We will hit the water in about 7.5 minutes from cold, day or night, 52 weeks of the year. Please ask. That's what we're there for.